Okay, well, aloha, hello everybody. Welcome to East Hawaii Cultural Center. We are truly glad to have you all here with us to join in this panel discussion as part of our exhibition. I think Joshua is going to give us a little introduction, so I guess what I'll do is introduce the panelists for today's discussion and then let Joshua take it from there. So we have from Partners in Care in Oahu, Joshua Fuentes. We also have Sharon L. Hirota from the Office of Housing and Community Development for the County of Hawaii. And then we have Kali French from Hope Services Hawaii. And then we have our two special guests who flew in also from Oahu this morning. We have Rose Charulono and we have Kaulana Hashan from the uhonua Hawai'i community. So let's welcome our I'm just going to note that everyone needs to use the restroom. They're over to the left. And without further ado, we'll dive straight into the conversation and I'll pass it on to Joshua.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the introduction. It's great to see so many folks here. Really excited for just this opportunity for folks from different places across the islands in different occupations and just bringing their knowledge to the conversation. So thanks everybody for being here. As the introduction stated, my name is Josh Fuentes. I do work for Partners in Care. We are what's called a COC, or Continuum of Care. And so every state in this country has a COC. If you're not familiar, you don't need to know too much about it, but for Hawaii, we have two COCs. We have one for Honolulu County, and then we have Bridging the Gap, which represents all the other neighbor islands. And what a COC essentially does is it kind of acts as an umbrella. So all of the providers that are the boots on the ground that are doing the hard work of operating shelter programs, that are working on affordable housing, that are out there doing street medicine and out there doing outreach, all of those folks contribute to this sort of response system that we call a COC. I work kind of behind the scenes on the data, and we take the data that is a result of everybody's hard work in the community. And what we do with that data is we advocate for what's working and what's not working. We provide this data to legislators to really inform policy. We also use that data for understanding where we need to apply funding. And so trying to just be data-driven in our planning, and that's really my kind of role. I wanted to give just a little bit of extra detail on the rest of our panel here as I am the acting moderator. So we have Sharon Hirota from the Office of Housing and Community Development for County of Hawaii. Her role is responsible for leading, coordinating, advancing the County of Hawaii's strategic response to homelessness. This position serves as the central liaison between the county government service providers, state, federal agencies, and community stakeholders, really with the goal of implementing and developing policies, programs, and initiatives that reduce homelessness and support pathways to stable housing here in Hawaii. We also have Kali French here from Hope Services. Many folks are familiar with them. That's a big name here, especially on this island. They operate shelters, outreach, housing programs across Hawaii County. They're one of the most experienced service providers. They've been doing the work for a long time now on this island, providing outreach. And over the years, Hope Services has evolved and expanded its impact through behavioral health, case management for individuals, and severe and persistent mental illness, street medicine, and medical respite services, as well as master leasing initiatives, which is really exciting thing that's unfolding here in the county. We also have with us Rose Chung and Kaulana Paishan. Thank you so much for coming all the way here from Oahu. They are visiting us from Hawai'i, or POW, also a major subject of this exhibition and key participants. And we're so fortunate that they've taken their time to come over here and visit with us. If you're unfamiliar with POW, there is an amazing documentary out there. You may have heard of the local activist Twinkle, God rest her soul. She is really just such a foundational member of this movement. And just a brief description of POW, it's a self-organized village on Oahu, on the leeward coast, that has become a model, community-led solutions demonstrating what happens when those with lived experience design and govern their own space through community empowerment. So very cool. Thank you both for being here as well. Just to kind of jump in, I wanted to make a brief statement on sort of the purpose and the framework for this conversation before we just jump into questions for everybody. This conversation is meant to be respectful, candid, and a chance to learn from each other. We recognize that the word homelessness suggests that being unsheltered or unhoused somehow removed from the concept of home, and that is not the case. And I want to be clear that often that term homeless itself, it's built into the response system, so it's part of the naming conventions of programs, of federal funding, of departments, of laws, of other legalese, and the language we choose to use can elicit different feelings. No single word can really capture the state of housing insecurity. That they know it's such a complicated thing. It's not a singular experience. It's shaped by so many factors. It's shaped by culture, economics, family, history, systems. So the best we can do is be mindful around the words that we put out there, and also be honest about our response to those words. If they make us cringe, it's okay to say that in this space. We're here to just talk those things through. And really just be able to lift up the voices of those with lived experience. And tonight we invite honesty to talk story and recognition that we are talking about real people's lives and experiences. So thank you, everybody. With that, I'm going to jump into the first question. I'm going to call this theme the landscape here. And this question is for everybody and anybody on the panel willing to comment on it. How would each of you describe in your own words the current state of housing insecurity and houselessness in Hawaii? What do you think makes the situation here different compared to other places?
Aloha. It's difficult because in the mainland, they're on the streets. We have aina. So a lot of us find aina close to the water. In our way of growing, it's a little bit hard. Even if we're self-governed, we still have struggles. We still struggle with drugs. We still struggle with life. We still struggle with our neighbors, our children, our grandchildren. I'm already with the struggles, and everybody else, I believe, especially living on the street or living in a community area. Us at Pu'unua Waianae, we have a big community. We are self-governed. We have, rules and regulations that we follow by, but not only just what's in our village, but with the respect towards where we live, because we're living on the outskirts, just outside of the Waianae Boat Harbor. Well, our entrance is still the Boat Harbor. So we take care of the Boat Harbor area. We talk with the harbor master. He's beautiful. He's a really good man. He actually helps us a lot. and we help him. Mamas is always, Mamas is Tinkles. Mamas is always about bridging the gap. Bridging and making relationships with people that we can help and they can help us. And that was the one thing about her. She was a magnet for people. People just pointed around her. And this lady was just somebody that taught me. Now, I'm 8 years older than she is. She taught me a lot. And being as old as I am, I still was in the process of learning. And in this process of learning with our community and the things that we have done, and the things that now we are recognized for, that is like really gratifying for us, because we came from nothing, we started off with nothing, now we have more than we need. And we're willing to share all that need with everybody else. And that's what we do on our outreach. We go out, we advocate homelessness, we go out and we help other homeless people because they don't have, like we do. We get them every day, they don't. So we go out and we share. When we first started sharing, people don't like programs, so they shy away from programs. We let them know that we live the same way they do. They started coming out. Now, when we go out and outreach, they're waiting. They're already waiting on the walls, waiting for us to come. They know, and then, as soon as our truck open up, they're there to help out. That's community love. It's not a thing that, automatically comes. We gotta work at it. So everybody's stories are really different. It's just if you have the time and the preparation or the ears to listen, you actually will help them a lot. Because there's a lot of people out there that nobody listens to us. Nobody hears our cries. Nobody hears how much we're broken. Nobody hears any of that until they take the time. And I thank all of you guys for taking the time to actually hear our voices. So thank you very much.
I just want to add to that on some of the statistics. What kind of makes Hawaii unique compared to, say, the mainland is, we all know the cost of living is much higher than your normal states. Also, with inflation continues to rise, this places advantages for our individuals and families and kahunas who no longer can afford or medical issues may arise and bills are being prioritized to take care of those things. So we see an influx in some of the increase of homelessness in our community due to the cost of living. Another thing I'm sure that some of you guys are aware of, as it's been brought to our concern at Hope Services, is a lot of the houseless communities out in the mainland rather be homeless here in Hawaii, which I would too if I have a beachfront property. Trying to find funds and working with partners to what's called like a relocation program where we can identify a family member or a friend where they came from and see if we can send them on the one way back, so that we really can focus on our Hawaii community. That's still a challenge. We're still having some conversations on and finding innovative ways on how we can do that. We're still collecting data. I think that we're building a good, strong infrastructure on how we can take a look at these types of data and how we can come up. I'm speaking from Hawaii County, working with our mayor in the county on how we can find ways on sending some of these individuals back to where they came from.
You know that for real?
Yeah.
So I just want to add, so thank you, because there's different perspectives, but I think for here on Hawaii Island, it's always to talk about the lack of affordable housing and being priced out, and individuals living on, in some cases, fixed income, and as the prices continue to rise, having to make some very difficult decisions. Adding to that, some health challenges as it relates to mental illness, substance abuse, or untreated chronic conditions. And so really working with our healthcare providers as well as our homeless providers who have now shifted shifted their work to not only include housing navigation, but really mental behavior health navigations, and really understanding what the need is in here. We just came off of a 3-day international symposium on street medicine, and really learned a lot about what was going on in other communities, and really now looking at how do we weave together all of our healthcare providers and those interested in working directly with those that are unsheltered as a consortium versus in silos. So looking at affordable housing projects, and also how do we help individuals and families who may at one point or another have given up on the system because sometimes the system is not perfect.
Yes, thank you. Thanks everybody. Yeah, it's a complex thing, and it's always in my field, but also in a lot of other fields. We don't like to compare always our community here to mainland communities just because it's so different. And I hear again and again, this might have worked there, but it's how are we going to make it work for Hawaii? And there are ways. It's just taking those models and making them flexible and apply to what we need to do here. My next question is actually for Sharon specifically. So Hawaii has one of the highest rates of houselessness per capita. We know this. We see this in the news. We see it in reporting every year. We see it in the point time count in our data. So what can you share with us about what the county is doing? New plans, new housing developments, services or policies that you folks have cooking right now?
Thank you. So just, and I have my laptop because I'm going to forget, but I'm using it. But the county as a whole, from various departments, are working together collaboratively to find solutions to reduce homelessness through various, including prevention and diversion. So I think the one highlight, which is in July of 2022, our county council passed an ordinance that set aside a portion of our real property tax that allows for direct focus on homeless and housing. It's called the Homeless and Housing Fund. It's been averaging around between $9 and $10 million in direct funding to various programs. So we issue an RFP, and then for the last 2 years, we've really opened it up and broadly for the nonprofits to look at opportunities to be creative on the types of services that otherwise are not funded by federal or state. And so we wanted to be the gap. We just closed out on year four of our RFP, and this time around we really focused on different types of services that we've learned over the last 3 years that are working. So again, outreach and engagement, street medicine and behavioral health, really ensuring that our shelters, most of which is owned by the county, are funded at a level that will keep them at 100% number of beds that are provided. We've invested in purchasing a mobile healthcare for West Hawaii, because that was one of their struggles, is that they were doing street outreach, but needed really a van that could go out into the more rural areas. If you're not familiar, we also funded a new pilot program. It's a youth drop-in center that right in downtown Hilo that allows youth that are unsheltered or unstably housed to stop in just to get respite. Ages 18 up to 18 to 24, they can, just sit on the couch, charge their phones, grab a meal, talk story with one of the housing navigators or case managers if they choose to. So that's something new. We're piloting the program somewhat after a successful program on Oahu. In 2023, the county, as we continue to really try to want to learn more about through data, really who was experiencing unsheltered homelessness on Hawaii Island. So annually, as required by HUD, we do what we call annual point in time count. We'll meet done in January of every year. And it just kind of, for a week, it puts our volunteers and our outreach providers on the street asking individuals where do they sleep on a particular night. And it's required, we submit the data up to federal. What we learned was there was definitely a gap because people come in and out of homelessness throughout the year. And so in August of 2023, we launched what we call the engagement buoy, asking all of our funded and non-funded outreach teams, nonprofits, faith-based communities who are out on the streets doing, connecting with our unsheltered to start collecting data. And so now we have 2 years of data, and at any one time we can tell us the night before how many unsheltered individuals. I will tell you that over the last 2 years, we've counted a little over 1,900 individuals or households that at one point or another said they were unsheltered for a night on the streets. But the data is interesting because from there we can kind of track their progress to housing. But what we're also able to see is that over 25% of those that came through our engagement buoy data system were assigned and is no longer experiencing unsheltered homelessness. Now, that's a daily count that we can do. So over 2 years, we've moved over 400 individuals from being unsheltered, we're only telling you unsheltered, to shelter status. So whether they moved to emergency shelter, permanent long-term housing, transitional housing, medical respite, they're just no longer in the street. We also track those that have returned to the street. So I'm not telling you everybody who gets sheltered never returns. There are people who just exit in and out, but at least now we have one common database that can collect it. So just to kind of wrap it up, in downtown Hilo in 2024, it's been a year now, we launched in partnership with Salvation Army, overnight cot sleeping program. So we're now up to 50 beds every evening, allowing individuals who otherwise were sleeping in the alcoves of our various businesses downtown at least to get respite. My last visit to them earlier this week, really showed over time a creation of a community that come together. I was just in awe, and I'm always in awe when I'm there as part of the evening. So people who walk in get access to food, access to a meal, a hot shower, and restaurant, but also get connected. In that 1 year period, we've been able to transition close to 80 house individuals to other longer-term shelter. So we're getting there. In West Hawaii, because I don't want to forget West Hawaii, we just launched vertical construction of a new emergency shelter assessment center. This is a non-congregate, so each of them will have their own tiny home structure. We're starting with 16. For some reason, I was told to be done in 16, so we'll go 16, 32, and eventually get up to 64. And then we just released an RFP. If you know anybody, contractor interested, our emergency shelter at 34 Rainbow Drive will be going over some major re-roofing and repairs to make the building much more safer operation. Who manages it? So they're looking forward to a new roof, and they're looking forward to some of the upgrades that we plan to do to the building to ensure long-term stability of the building itself and the delivery of services. Thanks.
Thanks, Sharon. Yeah, there's a lot of work happening in the community, so thanks for walking us through some of that. It's definitely we're seeing changes for sure, and I know in Hawaii, construction and development takes a lot of time. There's a lot of red tape. We see that with the Houseless projects for sure, trying to get those off the ground, all the tiny home projects. Yeah, thanks, Sharon. My next question is or Hope Services for calling. Hope works on the ground level with shelters and outreach. What are you seeing in terms of trends? Are people staying on shelter longer? Are more families coming in? And what do you think one of the biggest barriers to rehousing is for Hawaii?
Thank you. Yeah, so as you mentioned earlier, homelessness is a bit more complex. How I view things is there's different types of, and this is just my perspective, of homelessness. The first type of homelessness I look at is it could be just either one of us who lost a job and we can't afford, but we're determined to get back into some housing support from other organizations. Those are the easiest populations for us to work with. Then you have other populations that have substance use disorders, mental illness, severe persistent mental illness, and that takes time for our staff to build that rapport and to find services to help support them from that component. So that takes longer. So as an organization, we're a nonprofit, we rely heavily on grants. But we're looking and finding innovative ways. You mentioned about medical respite. That is one innovative way that we've worked with HMC to expand. And what medical respite is for houseless individuals that are going into the hospitals that are not really meeting that admission criteria, that have no place or no safe place to heal, so to speak. So we've used some of the county facilities, and we've brought on nursing assistants, a registered nurse, advanced practitioner who can prescribe medications and refills. And this would solve two kind of things. It would be taking houseless individuals off the streets and having a safe place. We provide 3 meals a day, but it also frees up capacity at our hospitals. Another thing that Hope had to do, and we're still in the works of doing, is in order for us to bring on these wraparound programs for continuum of care, as Sharon mentioned, we've expanded our behavioral health program, as well as health services. That takes time. We have to make sure our policies and procedures meet the standards of accreditation. So we have to practice those things, and cost is an investment for the organization for us to invest in. This allows us to show that we have the trainings and the staff capacity to provide these behavioral health approaches to individuals who are not wanting to engage or at a hostile, unsafe environment for our staff or outreach staff. Things like motivational interviewing and understanding the stages of change for each individual, knowing what type of assessments to assess and use to create this treatment plan. It's going to take time. Some we house quicker than others, as I mentioned, and some it takes a while. So our length of stay, we try to get them housed in our shelters within 90 days. The barrier is trying to get them, I guess, the psychiatric medications to help them stabilize, but also working on the medical issues and substance use disorders is a challenge that we're trying to kind of work past. Another challenge, obviously, is funding. We, like as I mentioned, rely heavily on grants. So doing prevention and diversion, as well as looking at assistance with first month rent and electricity, we have to find those grants to help support that for those individuals. And we know that some of these funding and some of these resources are limited. It is also distributed amongst other providers. And so we have a budget that we have to go at per fiscal year, so to speak. Another challenge is the inventory of units available. We have a lot of our participants that are on the wait list for vouchers, but we just don't have a place to put them. Another challenge is they don't want to go into that location or place. Another challenge is they are not ready to get off the street. So we would have to continue to build that rapport and the consistency in hopes that one day they're like, I'm ready for change. So it is a timely process. So what Hope is doing and working with the county is we're stepping outside our comfort zone and looking at master leasing. So we work with the landlords on master leasing their units and putting these families, kapunas, and individuals into these housing. We just opened, and because we're so heavy on Hilo and we're so on the side on these type of services, we just opened long-term housing at Honaka'a on the Hamakua coast to help with that community. It is 10 beds, but it's specifically for kapunas. It is the old convent, the church, right by Malama Market, and right by the hospital right over there. And we're looking at other innovative ways or ideas on looking at modular type homes to house more families and individuals. In fact, I fly out tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. to Texas to take a look at some of these organizations that are already having this kind of innovative idea already established, and how we can bring this back. Like county and some other organizations with our county have already visited this conference. So this new wave, I guess the boots on the ground type of speak, is going to have this kind of experience to kind of witness it. And I'm sure that when I come back with our team, we're going to huddle and try to find ways on how we can improve on those certain areas. But again, I think just want to reiterate that thank you for y'all for coming here to understand kind of the kind of work that we deal with. It's not easy, it's hard. The turnaround for my staff is pretty tough. It's real, and I commend them just to keep going out there and giving the support and love to these communities. So that's it on my side.
Thanks, Colin. I think, so for this next section here, the main theme or idea is about stigma, perception, and really like public narrative. And this first question is for anybody, but I think especially for Rose or Polana, if you have any thoughts on this. But houselessness often carries a stigma, and the public might see tents or encampments before they really see the people or the individual. How do we shift the narrative towards dignity and respect? How do we do that?
Hello, everybody. My name is Colin. I go by Clark. I'm one of the 6 leaders at uhonua. We faced a lot of stigmatisms in our days before we became uhonua when we first started at the Harvard back in 2007. I lived there, and we had to build communication and relationships with the community itself across the street, with the high school, the intermediate, preschool, the park keeper, the harbor master, and law enforcement also. It was kind of a challenge for us at first. People looked at us as if it was a disease or something, or a thief, a drug addict, which wasn't the case because you don't even know me. Everybody has a story. Why they became houseless. But it doesn't make you different. You're still the same, you're all human. And I go share at other conferences and stuff, and I tell them straight, define me what a houseless person looks like. So there's no dictionary or encyclopedia that will show you what a houseless person looks like. And so you just go off of what you hear. That was a folk set I was told a long time ago, and people just add to it. And so a person that lives in a house with a family member that's not on the contract is considered a hidden houseless. They're a hidden homeless person because they're not under contract. People didn't realize that. I didn't realize that. But the way we fought the stigmatism is we just held our head high and we just let them talk. You don't know me. Get to know me first before you go to me. A lot of people in our village have jobs, but just so happen because of the economy or something came along the way. And I was surprised that most of the people in the village, some of them have degrees. Like one of them graduated from New York as electrician engineer. And some of them had other degrees in others. One was a chef, a sous chef and some other ones was other professions. You never know until you get to hear the story. Be surprised what you learn. The way we broke that stigma was we just kept going out there and voicing our opinions. And you know, government officials can tell us how you can build our houses and that can be affordable. What's affordable these days? Please tell me what's affordable these days. People talk about trying to live, we trying to survive. Everybody, even people in houses trying to survive. Nowadays, the streets is crazy because these kids there's no guidance for the children that live in homes because their parents are working multiple jobs to stay afloat from being houseless. They're one paycheck away from being houseless, just like us. But us, we don't let that hold us down. We meet interesting people, that strangers that became family along the way. I found one love on the streets and I did it in my own home. This is my church that I left, that I became houseless. Now, I don't blame nobody. I know woe is me. I am who I am. You know, but I don't let that hold me down. You know, I rise up and I fight for people. I fight for people that don't want to bring up the inner voice in them and be heard along the islands. I'm also part of an anae group which is called houseless Council, which is made up of Kapapa, houseless people, San Island, Wamanalo, and Hawai'i. We all came together across the islands to voice and help the communities out there, whether it's in Waniwani or Lilani. You know, there are houses everywhere all over these islands, even in the big island, you know, all over Hawaii, you know, Maui. I've been to all of them. You know, it's a challenge because you learn that they're not built the same way as you. Nobody's built the same. You know, everybody's built different. Everybody has different morals, different values, like the way they was brought up. You know, common sense is not taught. It's never taught. I'm a father, a single father, and I raised my kids. My kids live in the village, and they will be around for the money. They will. But I made them lift their head up high, no matter where they stay. I came in, I flew back from California, and my kids was in CPS, and I had to quit my job to fight. It wasn't my kids' fault for being in the CPS. I blame myself. Because it's not just because of mom. I wasn't there to protect you. So, within 6 months, I completed my class and I got full custody of my kids. And it's not easy, you know. Without the support of the village and my family, I don't think I'll be able to raise my kids by myself, you know. It's a challenge. Yeah, it takes a village to raise a child, and our village raised children in that village. Yeah. My kids, everybody know my children. They voice their own opinion. I tell them, closed mouths won't get fed. You like, know something, relax. But you have to respect. You don't just go, hey, what you doing? You know, what you doing over there? You need help? Now, I encourage my kids to go out there and go help people. Even if they don't ask for help them. The long way they're going to know where I tell them, you know, be ashamed of where you come from. It doesn't make you lesser of a person. It doesn't make you inferior to a person that lives in a house. I go, we in a house. I go, would you say God? We got our wood around us, or we got a house. I told them, being houses don't define what you stand for in life. What you go on in life to be. I encourage my kids when they get older to go to college. Make something of yourself. If don't change, be the change. Be the change. Don't wait for somebody to tell you. Although you know, like work for a boss, be your own boss. Create your own company. Sky's the limit. Ain't nothing can stop you but yourself. You know, we always encourage the next generation to come because I tell my children, I can teach you as much 365 days a year. I can teach you something new every day. So I can teach you as much as I can before my life expires. I told them I love to be here forever by my birthday. I told them we all get an inspiration. I told them, but while I'm here, I can teach you what I can. And if I can't, I will find someone to teach you. I told him nothing is impossible. How will you separate the I am from possible? It's impossible. It's not impossible. I know. Astigmatism is it's a old joke. It's a lame hoax that people empower the word stigmatism. You know, it's like NIMBY, not in my backyard. Most of these people that stays ties to the community, no matter where they come from or what part of the island, the reason why they're not going to leave because they have ties to their community. They was either raised on that community or memory is where they was at. That's why they're there. Most of them not going to leave. Like he was saying earlier that what works for one ain't going to work for the other. So like where we live, what works for us in the countryside ain't going to work for people in town. It's totally different. The different atmosphere, different style of living. You know, it's a fast pace in town compared to where we're from. But everybody all talk about NIMBY. If you ever come to our island, they come under what's really the most shelters. Nobody asked us. They just placed in there. We adapted. We didn't complain. We just adapted to it. You know, because somebody needs to lay their head at, right? You know, rather than be safe than sorry. And I like that we put it on poster board or a shirt as a memory. When you could have somehow helped them. A little bit goes a long way. People remember me. You like understand people, get to know, introduce yourself. You know, it doesn't hurt. Some people sometimes you gotta be brutal with them, you know. They need that knucklehead stuff, because I'm one of them. You know, Tico. I am her knucklehead nephew. That's the only one out of the bunch. I'm the one that, when you tell me don't do it, I'm going to do it. But sorry, you shouldn't have told me that.
No means yes.
Her words to us was always compassion. She drove that into us so many years. Compassion. Well, we didn't understand it first. We knew the meaning of it. But to fully understand it, you gotta walk it. She was all about action. She walked and she talked it. To prove to people that it can be done. Like we always say, there ain't no government gonna save us, we gotta save ourselves. Even like when we had the pandemic, they shut every public bathroom around. So nobody could use them. So she went behind their back, she didn't care if they did not or not. And she brought porta potties just to service the people, that just so they don't say that the houseless people desecrate the land. You know, it goes a long way. Little things like that, she got to remember. And one thing me, I can always miss that lady. You know, that's my mom's baby sister. I was her knucklehead. I was her pain in her side. But I never changed it for the world, you know. She taught us how to humble ourselves towards people that is ugly. Because no matter how ugly they can be, there's always a little room for good. She always saw the good. She always saw the good in people and what people saw the worst in them. You know, there's always good in anybody, no matter what walks of life you come from. Because the fact is, it's in there. You just gotta find it. You understand? We gotta bring it out of you. And she believed in kuleana, which is responsibility. That kuleana was the mama, your spirit, your fire, your drive that pushes you to what you love to do. It's even like these entities that's out there for outreaches. I tell them straight at conferences. If you don't love your job, quit. Because then you're wasting the people's time. I go, if you love to help people, then do it. But do not promise or guarantee them nothing. The best you can tell them is, I'll see, or I'll try. Because I understand, you have a protocol you go through. Again, you know what I mean? You can't just make the call right there because you're not it, you know? And we get that. Just don't promise us or guarantee us. We already got broken. Like, we on the streets, like, how much broke you trying to make us? We're already broken. You know, and some people actually hear us out, you know. I thought at first, the first conference I ever spoke at what was it? Kulopo, the ballroom, yeah? Yeah, cool. And that was the first time I ever got to speak, and I was nervous. I had like 300 something people on. I didn't know not one. On high pitch first, and I was like, ooh. I was like, excuse me. I was like, sorry. I was like, I'm nervous. And then the second time when I went back for received the award for her, you know, everything started. I was raised by a man that had few words growing up as a child, me and my brother. And my dad, he never showed emotions, he never showed love, he never said, I love you, he always told us that men don't cry. Men don't show emotion because we are men, you know? So when my dad passed, I couldn't cry, because I didn't know how to show emotion. You know, I told my mom, it's not that I don't care, but she was there when he raised us. So when the lady died, I didn't show my emotion. So my auntie died, I didn't show none. But then when we went to a conference for receive the award, they made me speak everything. Everything started flooding into me. Because she took me to the conference. That's the first time I ever spoke there, and then now I received an award for you. But you're not here. It's hard, you know, it's hard to, I try to raise my kids not the way I was raised, try to show them love and stuff, you know. Some learning experience as you go, no matter how old you get, you can always learn something new. And I try. I'm blessed to have a good family around there. You know, that helps me, because I work at night, and then they watch my kids during the night, and then I'm definitely trying to do what I say, so it works out. Without community, you got nothing. Like, I can leave my kids running around that village, all 20 acres of our village, and everybody knows whose child is that. Everybody gonna look out for that child, no matter whose child it is. How many communities can say that nowadays? With all this gun violence going on. Us, we protect our children in our village. You know, when a harm threat comes their way, we do what we gotta do for our village. Just to protect the people. And then that's how I finally understood the meaning of compassion from that year. She turned it into me for like 4 years. 4 strong years. I said, man, bro, stop with that word. Like, yeah, we showed compassion, but I really didn't fully understand it. She was gone, you know? Because she was the person, to me, she was aloha. She was what our island lost, the word aloha. That's who she was to me. Thank you.
Hi. I didn't give you folks a background on what I do. Kalana is one of actually the go-to man in our village. And for me, I walked the walk along Twinkles when she first started out. She was an amazing woman. And no matter what I did, she would scold me, she would hug me, she would love me, but still scold me some more. And I took that to heart, you know, because even as old as I am, I'm 8 years older than she is, even as old as I am, I still learn something new. There's new things to learn out there. Being in that village, I learned so much. I've been there since 2000 and anyway, I've been there a long time. I've been there a long time, and watching the village grow from kawaii trees and bushes to a community that we have now, even if we're pallet homes, you know, we make mansions out of those pallets, but it's to keep our children safe, and that's what the main thing about Twinkles was, children first. No matter if she had her own children, and if no matter, everybody's babies was her babies. She built that community among the safety of our children. And that's what it is. no matter how bad the person is, that you know of them, no matter if they were a bad druggie or a bad thief or whatever, they still came with respect when they came to mamas. They always, mamas are hungry. Go in the kitchen, get something for go eat. Okay, mama, thank you. They do what they do. She always was that mama. That's why she got that nickname. But she was mamas to everybody that walked in her, in her way. And she was like, she wouldn't push you out of the way. She would embrace you and tell you, what's wrong? What's going on with your day? You okay? And him and I found something that she would always do. We ended up going across the street there, and we spoke to some of the people that are houseless out there. And it was just nice to just talk. At one point, we forgot that we was on needle, because we seen a guy on a bike that actually looks like one of our residents. And we were talking, and he came to find out he used to live with my mom, And then he gave us a scenario and was like, yeah, but we remember that, And he was like, I was there, I remember you guys. He said that's why he actually came up to us, because he's seen Kalana. And he saw it, and he'd seen us from being at Waianae Harbor, And there, if you speak to everyone, the word homeless will never come out of your mouths. Okay? We are known as houseless. Homeless is the anae that's under our feet where we walk every time. It's not homeless, but it's our own. Yeah? Houseless is just that walls that we don't have around us. But we get 4 corners that can pull up and take anywhere we can go. Okay? Right now, I am head of construction. We're building our home. We went ahead, we got out there and we advocated. We got more money. Twinkles went out there. She sold herself for the community, but good kind of selling, She didn't want us to work hard, but we went ahead and supported everything she did. Rather we was there or we weren't there, we was always in her heart because she spoke about the village. She spoke about what the people did in the village. We're self-governed. We have a security team, we have a safety team, we have a construction team, we have overseers, leaders, we have everything that everybody else didn't think about having within that community. We have over almost, right now, including our Mauka people, we have over 200 people. At one point, we had almost 400 people in our village. It was chaos. 2 women, me and her, running all over the place trying to figure out, what's the matter? Well, if I don't get hurt, okay, damage them up. So here comes the nursing part of mama, Then you go to the next one, what's the matter with you? Why are you on the ground? Why are you crying? This is adults we're talking to. Oh, auntie, I don't know no place to go. I really need some place. Come with me. She always took them in, regardless of the story, regardless if they were drug addicts, regardless if they were this and that. She never judged you. She didn't care what your backgrounds were, what you was in, good or bad. She cared about you. At that moment, you need help. Come. She went help you. We learned that. That's why she drilled compassion in us. We hate the word so much, I tell you. We like every time we hear compassion, what? We come smashing. But, the compassion came after we started to learn truthfully what the word was about. It's about talking to the people, feeling their hearts as we talk with them, feeling their hurt as we talk with them. Yeah? Let them speak. Just be there, the ears that they need. You hear a lot of hurt in the words they get to say. Yeah? Even those that are high on drugs all the time, they still people, number one. They still get feelings. They still a human being, no matter what. Yeah, sometimes you get frustrated and everything and you're like, get the effing out of here, But then you go back and you say, I'm sorry, I never mean to. We go talk sorry, we see what we can do. we're so strapped right now because the Illinois is not allowing us to bring people in. We had a family of 5 that came not too long ago, beautiful people. Husband and wife, 2 children. They spent just the night, they just needed a night to get into the next shelter, which is right across the street from us. Yeah, it ended up to, they left us, they went to another home because they couldn't do it within that one day they needed. So as of tomorrow, or Monday, I'm sorry, we Saturday. As of Monday, they will be getting into a shelter, which is right across the street from us. Where they're staying now with a woman that came by, you know, that God has sent to them. They live in Mankuli, yeah, but they're coming back. So the guy Steve, he turned around, he goes, I'm coming back to see you guys. Wow, you guys are the awesomest, you know. Because he came in scared, but we didn't make them feel scared. We opened arms, it was a warranty. He felt like at home, he was from Missouri, you know. But he said it was a little bit different for him in Missouri, but he felt like he's at home, you know. And I told him, welcome home, you know. So when everybody come back, they always have a chance to come back. So right now, as I had mentioned earlier, we're in construction. So we raised all that money to purchase our own land, which cost us over $1 million. But we went out there, she went out there. She put her calling on the line many, many times. And she went out there and she raised all of that money that needed to raise within two years span. She raised over $7 million. That's how we were able to get going to where we was. Like I said, she spoke to anybody and everybody. And the people that she spoke to many times was the right people that needed to hear her. So she went ahead and did all of this. So now we started our construction almost 10 years ago. But as they had mentioned, there's a lot of hills and, you know, dips and turns and stuff. We went through all of that. So 3 years ago, we put up our first building, which was an A-frame. And that A-frame symbolized who we are. So it's not Mauna, it's us guys. It's the unity that we have within each other. There are 2 symbols like this with a hand, 2 hands that passes down the collar. Those 2 symbols, the top is green, the bottom is blue. That has to do with Mocha, which is where we're building right now, and Makai, which is where we live at the moment. So that brings us together. The 2 hands passing the collar is an older person passing collar to the younger one and telling them, this is your future. Go ahead and grow. Yeah? Make me eye out there. Go feed the people. That's what we're about. That's why that symbol was made. She bought that picture to me. She told me, go do this, go do that, go do this. So I came up with that symbol. And she loved it. And she goes, that talks about all of us. That also that diamond and triangle, it represents our tent. All the tents that we have. So it represents our tent at the blue. Now we go to houses in the green. So that's what it was, that transitioning of what we do. So all those homes now that we have up there being constructed and everything is driving me crazy right now. But being there, we have hope to bring the babies home. We have hope to go ahead and continue our village. And there's still millions of dollars we still gotta raise to get to the next phase. We got 4 phases that 2 of them is being built, 2 is already ready to go, but we still have a little bit more to go. Details is the ones that holds us back. All the little intricate things that sets the footsteps to get to the positive area we want to be in. This is what we're doing right now. And it took us a long time to get there, but we're there. And now it's a matter of just getting our people from down at Makai to Mocha. And, you know, it's a 2-mile radius between us, where we're at down below and where we're at the top. So it's still 2 miles. But that 2 miles was a big stretch because people, to get to the, stores, to get to the stores and stuff is challenging. So Twinkles came up with, we got services, we got people. So she will come up, take on the store, he's another one. Somebody can take them to the store. But there's always somebody there to help out. There's always somebody there to go ahead and do. We get cleanups. Because we have a deadline now, we need to get out soon. We have cleanups every day. We hope and wish that more people would come out from our village, but many of them, they're lazy. Most of them, because they work nighttime, they sleep in, But we do have the strong ones that comes out. And then Kala is the one that he goes ahead and he heads to all of that. Make sure that the cleanups are getting done. Make sure that we're gonna hit our deadlines. And it's the same thing with me. Because I run the construction crew up there. I have construction background, so I'm running the construction crew up there and trying to make sure that whatever days, and right now we're at 75 days to our deadline to get out. And I'm pushing, the general contractors, I'm pushing the developers, I'm pushing, all these guys to, hey, I got 160 families down there, still yet to bring individuals to bring back up here. I need you guys to get on it, let's get this done, let's get this done, let's get this done. So I'm the one that's pushing to get the things done. He's the one that's making sure the downside is getting clean. Because we don't want the state to turn around and say, hey, they left us a big mess that will cost us $500,000 just to clean up. We're not going to do that. Because we've seen that happen. So we've been cleaning out, we've been taking out camps that is not there no more, people not there no more because they were able to transition to another place. We clean that out, he's cleaning it out, he's making sure all of this is getting done so that we don't get hit by the state by talking about us. We don't need that. Yeah, so we're getting it done in uhonua. And we're trying to spread what Twinkles wants out there. We're continuing her legacy, and we will continue on even when we finish getting the people out there. We're not finished yet, really, we're not. There's plenty more for us to go there and do. It's a permanent home area. They are called houseless that we have, or duplexes. They're for single and couples. We have for family units also. We have a Hawai'i that takes care of everything, which is you can shower, cook, use bathroom, everything is already made. So we have that in the middle of everything. Some people say, oh, but I'd rather have one bathroom in my house. I say, I do too, but I don't care. We all will share. We all will take on the kuyana to take care of each other, which we have done so many years already. I've been at the harbor 16 years. And I came out of a home in 2009. I foreclosed my home. That's when everybody went into recession. Almost the whole newspaper was all foreclosed homes back there. I didn't know where to go. I cried and I cried. My children tried their best to help me out by trying to keep our home. We couldn't. We put it in foreclosure. And I still cried because Willie was in that home for 3 years. We just bought them in. And the thing about it was, okay, God has a better plan or another plan for us. We ended up coming to Hawai'i. My parents lived in Namakuni. And so we stayed with them a little while. Me and my dad, we buck heads all the time. So I couldn't, we too much alike this one. So I couldn't stay in the home. My dad told me, get up, get the F out of the house. I don't need you here no more. As much as I'm his boy, yeah, I became a woman with 4 children and I had to move. My dad told me, get up. Okay. I went, did my own thing, made sure my family was safe. Then somebody came along and told me, go to the harbor. Why would you go to the harbor? Her name is Twinkle. Go to the harbor. Went to the harbor, didn't find Twinkle that day. But I went to the harbor master. And then talks to the harbor master. The harbor master said, did you find a place inside there? I said, go set up your guys' stuff. Go look for Tunko. Okay, uncle. Did our thing. 2 weeks after, my kids already knew Kala. They knew Tunkos. They were out there already. I was inside trying to make sure that my babies, my grandchildren, had a structure, safe from the elements, and that was my thing. 2 weeks later, I finally met her. And this lady don't even know me. She gave me a generator. And I'm looking at her like, who does that? You don't even know me. Why are you giving me a generator? You get kikis, yeah? Yes. They need like nighttime? Yes. Take this generator. But auntie, I get 4 generators at home, I don't need one. Think about it, never mind, you know? So I took it. Went ahead. Then as the week went on, I was wondering how come my babies come home but they're not hungry, you know? She was feeding them. Before they come home, there's a place called Spinners at the harbor. And so she actually ran the place. Kala was her cook in there. When the kids came home from school, that's where they went. They congregated in that little area and they did their homework. Education was number one with her. They did their homework and everything. After they they got hamburger, french fries, coke, whatever. I was like, well, I go do homework too, I go eat too, you know what I mean? But that's when I found out. I was so upset, that's how I met her. Because I went outside, I said, who's Twinkle? So she came, she goes, hi Twinkle, you don't want to feed my babies? Oh, why, is something wrong? No, because they come home, they don't like eat. Because they're full already, you know? And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I did that. From that day on, we just clicked. It's like, you know, and from there, the journey started. We went from here to there to here to, I got tired after a while, you know, but meeting people, just being at the right place at the right time. And she had timing, you know, and she went ahead and started she didn't know nothing about what the, you know, programs do and stuff. She went out there, she would go learn, she would go make friends with program people. She made friends with the welfare. She made friends with the Social Security people because we had people that needed those kind of services in our community. So she went out and she made friends. All these people, till today, we still have people coming. We have One Night Comprehensive. They don't have funding. They didn't get the grant, but they still come and service our people because they have clients there. So they will still come out and service the people regardless they have money or not. The ones that got the money never, not once, showed up. Not once. So Tunkos will never work with them. She will work with those that came, regardless if they got the grant or they didn't. They came. So that showed their compassion for our people. She did that. She had a gift. She always left everything in the Lord's hands when it got tough. I told her from the get-go, the Lord will never fail us or never leave us to fail, because He took us on this journey from the get-go. So we leave everything in His hands, regardless of what we face with or what we challenge with every day. We leave it in His hands. The next day, we got our answers. You know, sometimes in the next 5 minutes, he catches the answers, you know. When that family of 5 came, in 10 minutes, he got an answer from his, because they have a protocol. So after he did the protocol, they all said yes to the family, stay for that night. 10 minutes. Yeah, go ahead, set your tent right here. No worry, we get security. You know, they wasn't worried. The babies, he said that was the first night his children actually slept sound. That means they were safe. They didn't have to worry about anything. Us guys, we hang out outside all night. We like, you know, we watch everybody go in and out because they do their chores late at night because of the boarders that come to them. But You know, when you have family come in and they turn around and tell you, that's the best rest I ever had. Okay, so you turn around and say, okay, we did something good. You know, we have good feelings in here. And yes, we do. You know, I take tours constantly in that place for them to see. We even invite people, come see our village. You can imagine what we can do with pallets, you know? We've done that. And it's been like great. It's been good for me anyway. Being there 16 years, I've seen a lot going on in that place. So
I think-
thank you.
I think so much of what you folks do, yeah, thank you, is you really are already answering that question, right? Of like, how do we fight this sort of reputation or stigma? And like you were saying, it's about making sure your voice is heard, and you know,
Don't fight
You-
the sick.
you're carrying that same spirit that she has of like inviting people in and making sure you're able to tell stories, real stories, and be visible. And I think that is a huge part of dispelling any sort of stigma or.
We try not to fight the stigma. We try to understand because every stigma is different. So we try to understand what we're up for challenge, and we embrace it as we go along. And then, you know, that's how we come up with our solutions. We embrace everything that comes to us.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm gonna jump ahead. I'll probably run time. Andre, are we okay?
I would leave
Say
20
for
minutes
Walter.
for Q&A, and we are 3, not 20. So
Oh yeah. Okay.
yeah, it's already
Awesome. I'm gonna jump ahead and ask another question then for our panel. We already kind of talked a little bit about I think it was called the Lived Experience Board that has formed on Oahu that is really bringing folks that either are still very much experiencing or are at risk or have lived experience to the table to talk with policymakers, to talk with folks that are starting up or trying to operate programs, because for them to be successful, you really need to have those folks weigh in on those projects and those plans and those policies. So this might be for the Big Island folks. How do we ensure here that folks currently experiencing a lack of housing, or those who have recently exited, have a real seat at the table when policies are made and programs are designed?
Thanks for the question. I think that one of the great things around Hawaii Island is that I believe that there's a good partnership between government and our nonprofit organizations who are doing boots on the ground. I think we have protocols in place to learn and continue to I want to say modify based on feedback, direct feedback we get from those that are part of our shelter operations or our different various programs. I can tell you that although I've been in this business for a number of years, still learn every single day. Personally, about a year ago, I was directly involved in working with an encampment, and most of you from Hilo are well aware of the encampment that were along Hawai'i Street. And I was given the task to, one, we were gonna get the county was gonna get audited by the Army Corps of Engineers, and it was inappropriate for individuals to be living along the canal. I mean, we could get seriously fined by And so we worked hard over a short period of time to figure out the next steps for those households. Some were able to pack up and find other solutions. Others temporarily, we made shift an emergency shelter in downtown Hilo right next door, and then eventually relocated them to a parcel on Coalva Street, and successfully moved all but one household to stable housing. But what I learned along the journey was that this had to be a partnership between government, our nonprofits, and the individuals themselves. We had to view the stable housing program every day. They were telling me what I was doing right and what I was doing wrong, and they had no shame about it. And I was open to learning, and up until today, I always keep that in my head. I need, as an individual, on a personal level, in order to help our unsheltered households and families, children's, kupunas, that I learn every single day from the people who are experiencing unsheltedness. And then we need to move and adapt as quickly as government could possibly do. And I apologize a lot to individuals that I was serving. It's like, bear with me. But what we created, similar to Pu'uno Waianae in a very short time, was a community of individuals who was willing to work alongside, learn, share, but then move as a community into one space. So they continue to give me feedback on what's working and what's not, so that we can continue as we work with others in the community. We don't quite have a structured lived experience council as Oahu does, but we are working in different teams, and one of those typical ways, like, we better figure out how we're gonna get the group. A lot of it, I've been talking to people, they are just need continued encouragement, because a lot of them don't want people to know the experience, or are not prepared to share or be vulnerable to share. So we're continuing to work alongside these individuals, continue to hear their voices.
I just want to add to that, in regards to nonprofit organizations and how we partner with our county. We also, from an operational standpoint, and your story is very, it's very touching, and I think that it's real, right? It's real. And so how can us as providers in the county really advocate on behalf of our houseless community? Again, we're always pivoting and trying to find innovative ways on how we can find the best resources and support for our houseless community. And started talking also about stigmas, how we paint that matrix also in the county, the ledge, right? The higher ups on what kind of what we're doing here on the direct services, as some of them possibly not hearing this touching stories that you guys shared. So on Hawai'i Island, you're looking at software such as what we call something like Streak, and we train our outreach staff. And then it's another thing that we talked about behavioral health training and motivation training, but showing that empathy and compassion, because it is real needed. And kind of going back to your stories, houselessness can happen can happen to anybody. It can happen to me. It can happen to one of you guys. And so it's real. And, driving down and just having your stigma, you all don't know that life story. And so for us, we're trying to figure out what policies and programs that we can create to help serve the different type of, as I mentioned earlier, the houseless community, and how can we best advocate to, again, Mayor Brian Schatz, Maisie, and so forth, in regards to federal funding. So there's just a lot of planning and a lot of allowing communication and teamwork. It takes a community effort. It takes the houseless community from the direct services staff to the county level to the higher ups to really be on the same page, collaboration, and coming up with some great ideas, solutions on how we can better serve the community.
Appreciate that. Thank you for following up. I'm going to shift us to our last set of questions here for everybody. I think I'm going to ask everybody this question here if you're willing to try and think about an answer. But if you could make one major change, policy, funding, a community initiative that you could implement tomorrow to reduce houselessness in Hawaii, what would it be?
Free housing, no?
Free housing, yes.
Because what's affordable for you, not necessarily affordable. It's hard. I gotta talk on
Yeah.
That's
a tough question.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
What do we say? For policy, I used to be with the housing policy team. There was 3 of us housing people. It was me, my cousin, and Cologne. One of the 60 people. And we used to go to town and join this Appleseed group, which was a policy maker group. Gavin was the director at the time. We didn't know that we could have rights regardless if it was houseless, And at that point, I realized that now I know why the point in time counts. Because there's a lot of houses and their votes count for a lot of people that's trying to run for what they want to be in the government. I was like, oh wow, we actually don't say, we don't voice, To help with the housing situation, to fight for it, to make it, to help people. How we never address that.
Definitely, yeah. I think shaping the conversation as like housing is a right for everyone, right? It's just housing is healthcare. It's something that I hear Laura Thielen, my director, say a lot. It's like your own health and your own happiness is tied to this sense of security and space and place, right? And that should be a right. All people should have that. And so just making it more accessible, I think. Anybody else want to try?
I think for what I like to see in our, or just I don't want to say why it is, definitely a few things. Decrease stigma, more community buy-in. We know that funding is an issue, so that yes, funding, more housing units. I love the idea of you guys call holiday, and we need more of those. We need more lived experience to educate and to help along with direct staff to motivate other individuals who may be weary because you never been through that. So why are you helping me? You know what I'm saying? So I think going back to my previous answer, it's going to be a whole team effort, everyone, and I think that's what I wanted to see.
I think housing is critical, and again, whenever I speak of housing or affordable housing, I think someone said it, the definition of affordable varies from all of us, right? Affordable is what you can afford to pay in addition to, food on the table, transportation, childcare, education if necessary. So again, it varies from villages to being able to move into subsidized housing, to move into opportunities that allows individuals who will pay a mortgage that currently equals their rent, right? And how do we afford households that are doubled and tripled up because the children cannot afford to move out, those opportunities. So I think it's a gamut. I think a lot of it has to do, in addition, I think for me in my notes is more about the storytelling, getting away from ensuring that it's not about tents, it's not about encampments, it's about individuals. It's about our neighbors. And clearly, while we are in the work and working alongside everyone to find solutions, one medical situation could put us definitely on that brink. And so a lot of, when I think about it is prevention and diversion. How do we catch it so that individuals are not entering houselessness, but how do we provide those resources up front, those safety nets, whether it be financial support, affordable housing, rental units, subsidy, or even access to care. And so it takes a village, it takes a village of resources and opportunities and access.
We're good? Oh, we're time? Oh, Bobby?
15 minutes.
Oh,
we can do it.
I'll answer that. I finally thought of something. We got all these programs, we got all the shelters out there on the west, and they have a time frame and how long you can stay. 2 years is not enough, especially with the rate the way it is for those shelters. We get different rent for a studio. One of the shelters is like $600, and then you have 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, it goes up. But if you're a single parent, how do you survive within that 2 years and to be able to go on your own after your program ends? You go back onto the streets because they're not going to renew your contract until you go back onto the streets. So for me, for policymakers, make these shelters more longer term so they can actually be able to save their money, stand on their own 2 feet. 2 years is not enough, not even 3, not for a single parent. Because then you got to pay for daycare, and that's just costly. Especially if your family ain't there to help you. You pay somebody else to watch your child before you go work. It's hard. It's very hard. The shelters ain't even helping. Some shelters down our side is 90 days. Then I go back onto the streets and wait for a month. Then reapply to go back in. It's a vicious cycle that keeps going. When those fundings could have went elsewhere to help other people in time of crisis. Instead of you telling them what you spend their money when they come back. For keeping your job away. That's wrong. You're wrong. You're robbing them of learning, of growing. That's what you're robbing them of. So policy-wise, extend the shelters, the living to so they can save and be able to stand on their own 2 feet. 5 years will be sufficient enough to be able for a single person or a family of 2 or 3 to be able to save enough money to stand on their own and just keep going in there. Instead of within the 2 years, what the hell am I doing now? I ain't got enough money. Right now, you pay off for a house rent, you got to pay 3 times the amount of your rent for the deposit. And how do you do that within 2 years? They only can work with a certain time job because daycare only lasts for so long. Daycare is only for a certain time, no my time. So I don't know, there's something about for policies to do that, to extend it, to let people grow and not fail. Because I believe that not them fail themselves, you gotta take part of it because you didn't help them. You can give them all classes of budgeting, all you like. Before, what they're gonna do? Things happen in life. Something comes up, they gotta use the money for something. Whether it be for the child's medical, that medicine that they need, because the medical insurance don't cover it. So they gotta start back from scratch one. You know, square one, right back to square one. Here we go, we gotta resave again. Oh, but we're only 6 more months left in this program.
You know a program doesn't work when those people comes over to our village and say, can I have a space? And yet they came from a program, they came from a shelter. So if that shelter, the residents from the shelter is coming to us, that shelter failed. Because they didn't do what they told them they were gonna do. After the 2 years, we're gonna help get you in this, we're gonna help you get you there. It never happened.
And another policy
They
to
end up
help
in our place.
these people, the ones that work at the shelters, send 2 classes. Send 2 classes for compassion. Because I watch someone, the little people that sleep in those shelters like they're nothing. And one of our people from our village work at the
Works at
shelter.
the shelter, yes.
And I
That's
told her,
what ours
what
are.
I feel. I told her, I'm gonna file a complaint, like they need training.
She comes.
Like I bring de-escalation classes to our village to help our people, to learn how to de-escalate problems that we face in everyday life. No matter what type of violence we were willing to learn to train ourselves, to better ourselves as a community, to grow strong as one. So no matter what problem we face, we'll be able to speak instead of with violence. You know, like any resources that's out there, I reach out and I bring to the village so we can learn together. So it benefits us. Not us.
Yeah, sure. I definitely heard that, the story from providers, from shelter operators, that they're running on a skeleton crew, and that it's so challenging to maintain staff without high turnover. And so even just keeping some of these programs operating is, we need to really evaluate the budget and advocate for funding for these projects, so that it, like you said, that 90 days is not long enough for a real change in somebody's life. For most cases, it's more complicated than that.
And it's not only that, it's like I always tell our service providers, if you don't love to help people, that job not for you. You're wasting everybody's time. All you're doing is looking at it as a picture. Like you're not gonna help these people, bro. You don't belong in that job. Go find another profession. You're not the teacher. You know, love what you do.
That's definitely a real challenge. And it's hard to teach that. It's like you have to kind of already have that in your heart ready to go, that you are here to help other
It's
people.
taught to you by your grandparents, your great grandparents, growing up in like that. You learn to help others. You know, you learn. Hey, go over there, go help them. Go help them carry the groceries in. Go help them clean the yard. Go help them go across the street for clean the yard. You know, it's taught throughout life. It's the old school thing that's the way I was brought up. Like, you can help with no question that, you can just go over there and help.
Now it's like they pull over. You go over there, and the kids go over there and say, oh, Uncle, Auntie, I help you carry your groceries. It's like, because now it's different now. You know, it's not like before. Oh, Tutu, I get them. You help them go in. Automatically give you the bags. Now it's like, what you do? You know, it's so different now.
I want to thank everybody so much for coming down and listening to these conversations and listening to some challenging questions, for participants willing to come in and sit, talk story, and share your stories, and share the hard work that you're doing in the community. Hopefully we can keep the conversation going. And I also just want to extend my thanks and gratefulness for EHCC to be willing to put on a project like this that is just innovative and bringing in these different voices and perspectives into the gallery for everybody to see and hear those stories. I know that these folks are going back to Oahu, and we're just grateful that you could come and spend time with us.